boycotting the upcoming World Cup games in the U.S. The local World Cup committee has been expecting hundreds of thousands of visitors to travel to the Metro when the matches kick off.
Europe is considering doing something it has never done in the history of the World Cup, walking away. Not because of a bad draw, not because of fixture scheduling, because of Donald Trump.
The German politician Jürgen Hart, a member of the Christian Democratic Union, has raised the idea of a potential World Cup boycott.
Because of FIFA, because of a tournament that somehow transformed from football's greatest celebration into the world's most politically toxic sporting event in the space of 12 months. 150,000 Dutch citizens signed a petition demanding their team withdraws. German parliamentarians are openly debating boycotts in the Bundestag. British MPs are calling on England and Scotland to refuse to compete. And a former FIFA president, a man who has seen everything this sport has to offer, broke years of public silence just to say one thing: don't go. Meanwhile, Trump, a man who has never visibly kicked a football in his life, is chairing the official World Cup task force, kept the club World Cup trophy in the Oval Office for 4 months, pocketed a winner's medal at the final like a souvenir, and received a FIFA Peace Prize days after threatening to invade a NATO ally. Football's biggest tournament has a problem, several of them actually. And today we're breaking every single one down. Let's paint the picture properly. The 2026 World Cup was genuinely supposed to be historic. 48 teams, 104 matches, 3 host nations, the largest, most ambitious, most commercially powerful tournament ever organized. Cities across the United States, Canada, and Mexico preparing for years. Billions in projected revenue. A record-breaking expansion that would reshape football's global structure forever. That was the plan. Instead, here's what the build-up actually looks like. Petitions circulating across Europe, lawmakers debating withdrawal in national parliaments, fans cancelling flights, hotels being refunded, and a FIFA president who has somehow made himself the least neutral figure in international sport since, well, the last FIFA president. Something has gone seriously wrong. And today, we're breaking down exactly what, why, and what it might mean for football going forward. Start with the numbers, because they matter. In the Netherlands, more than 150,000 citizens signed a petition demanding their national team withdraw from the United States entirely. That is one of the largest football-related civic petitions in Dutch history. Not a Twitter poll, not a comment section argument. 150,000 people with their names attached, demanding action. The petition, launched by a prominent Dutch journalist, makes a specific argument. That participation risks turning players into unwilling symbols in a political campaign they never agreed to represent. The Royal Dutch Football Association hasn't committed to a boycott yet, but they are watching carefully. Germany is under nearly identical pressure. CDU lawmaker Jürgen Hart publicly called for Germany to reconsider participation entirely. The German Football Association officially rejected a boycott for now, but the vice president of the DFB has called for serious withdrawal consideration. The federation is holding its position while the ground shifts beneath it. And here is the number that should genuinely alarm FIFA's boardroom. A survey of 10,000 Germans found that 47% would support a boycott if the United States annexes Greenland. 47% over Greenland, a place that 6 months ago most people only knew as the big island that isn't Iceland, or possibly the other way around. The fact that Greenland is now directly influencing World Cup participation decisions tells you precisely how far this has travelled beyond sport. In the United Kingdom, Conservative MP Simon Clarke called on England, Scotland and Wales to boycott specifically to embarrass Donald Trump on the world stage, a British politician wanting to embarrass an American one. Some traditions are apparently immune to modernisation. France has been publicly cautious. The president of the French National Olympic and Sports Committee said a boycott is not under active consideration. Belgium focused entirely on sporting preparation and made no political comment whatsoever, which is honestly very Belgium. But here is the thing. This conversation has left football forums and sports pages behind. It is happening in parliaments, on national news broadcasts, in places where football rarely travels. That shift alone tells you the scale of what we are dealing with. Now let's talk about what lit the original fire. Immigration enforcement. Picture this: a father in Lagos spent 8 months saving, applied for his visa 6 months in advance, gathered every document on the list, paid the fees, waited, received a one-line rejection with no explanation and no appeal route. His son's first World Cup, gone. That story, in various forms, is circulating across Nigeria, Pakistan, across the Middle East and North Africa. Not every account has been independently verified, but perception in the social media age moves faster than official clarification ever can. And when thousands of similar stories accumulate, the message they send collectively is unmistakable. You may not be welcome here. During preparations for the 2025 Club World Cup, members of Iran's delegation reportedly struggled to secure visas. Only 4 of 9 officials were granted entry for the December draw. 4 of 9. For a FIFA-sanctioned event, months before the actual tournament. Incidents involving asylum seekers detained near MetLife Stadium during that same period deepened the anxiety further. When Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International start issuing statements about your sporting event's entry procedures, the hospitality argument is already lost. For families saving for years to attend one match. For diaspora communities hoping to wave their flags on the world's biggest stage. Uncertainty doesn't just reduce enthusiasm, it eliminates it entirely. But here's what the outside world often misses. Immigration, as serious as it is, isn't even the primary driver of European fury. The deeper rupture comes from a sequence of geopolitical moves that have left America's closest allies genuinely unsettled. And if immigration was the spark, what came next was the petrol. Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened to seize Greenland from Denmark, a NATO ally and sovereign territory. He proposed 10% tariffs on goods from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland. He suggested Canada might become the 51st American state, a proposal Canadians received with approximately the enthusiasm you would expect. He warned of potential military action against Mexico. And then came January 3rd, 2026. Operation Absolute Resolve. More than 150 US military aircraft deployed in Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro and his wife captured and flown to New York for trial. 32 Cuban soldiers reportedly killed. The United States announcing it would administer Venezuela going forward. Supporters framed it as decisive and necessary action against an authoritarian regime. Critics described it as the unilateral arrest of a sitting head of state, a precedent that, depending on your perspective, either restored order in a troubled region or handed a legal blueprint to every other powerful nation watching from Moscow to Beijing. Whatever your view on the intervention itself, the timing was impossible to separate from what was coming. Months later, billions of people were supposed to arrive on American soil to celebrate the world's game. The mood across Europe had shifted fundamentally. What had felt like political noise started to feel like something structural, something that wasn't going away. And this is where we have to talk about FIFA directly, because this is where uncomfortable becomes genuinely damaging. In March 2025, the White House created a dedicated task force for the 2026 World Cup. Donald Trump was named chair. J.D. Vance became vice chair. Andrew Giuliani, son of Rudy Giuliani, was appointed executive director. FIFA has always maintained that football exists above politics. It's essentially the organization's founding myth. Turns out that principle has considerable flexibility when the host nation's president wants his name at the top of the document. Infantino attended Trump's inauguration in January 2025, speaking about making not just America great again, but the entire world. A modest expansion of the original slogan, you'll notice. FIFA then opened an office inside Trump Tower. Then came the Club World Cup final. Chelsea won. But here's the detail that went global. Trump had kept the actual tournament trophy in the Oval Office since March. 4 months. When Chelsea lifted the trophy, they were handed a replica. The original remained in Washington. Trump stayed on the podium throughout the entire celebration. Cole Palmer and Reece James stood nearby wearing the precise expression of people at a work event where something has gone wrong and nobody knows the correct moment to leave. And then Trump took a winner's medal and placed it in his suit pocket. Just put it in his pocket. A souvenir from someone else's victory, casually and without particular invitation. At the World Cup draw in December 2025, Infantino presented Trump with the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize, titled Football Unites the World, created shortly after Trump brokered a Congo-Rwanda peace deal, presented days after renewed Greenland annexation threats. Several FIFA Council members learned about it through a press release. They were not consulted. A peace prize, days after Greenland threats, without consulting the Council. To be fair to FIFA's Ethics Committee, they have had an extremely demanding few decades. Infantino then announced Trump would personally present the World Cup trophy to the champions on July 19, 2026. The sitting US president center stage at football's most iconic moment. FIFA walked willingly through that door, and Europe noticed. Now the counter-argument deserves a hearing, because it isn't weak. Qatar 2022, Russia 2018, Saudi Arabia 2034. The same European governments now debating boycott sent their teams to Moscow without significant resistance. They competed in Qatar. So the uncomfortable question boycott supporters must answer is this: is this principled consistency, or does it simply feel closer to home this time? A player who has spent their entire career reaching a World Cup should not lose that opportunity because diplomats cannot agree on Arctic geography. The selective nature of international outrage is real. Acknowledging it strengthens the argument, ignoring it destroys it, and practically speaking, a full boycott remains extremely unlikely. FIFA projects $10 billion in revenue, 290,000 jobs, contracts signed, stadiums ready, broadcasters committed. The machine is moving and it will not stop. But here's what's already happened regardless. Football federations are no longer insulated from foreign policy. Fans are Googling visa rejection rates alongside fixture lists. Canada and Mexico are quietly winning the perception war, with supporters across Europe openly discussing attending matches in Toronto or Mexico City instead. The boycott may never fully materialize, but its shadow is already reshaping the tournament. And in modern sport, perception matters more than almost anything else. The 2026 World Cup was supposed to be football's greatest celebration. Instead, it arrives carrying military interventions, visa rejections, a trophy held hostage in the Oval Office, and a winner's medal that ended up in a suit pocket like a complimentary mint. History will record the goals, the drama, the champions, but it will also record everything happening right now, before a single ball is kicked. If your national team boycotts and misses the tournament entirely, but forces FIFA to genuinely change, was it worth it? Or did an entire generation of players pay the price for a mistake they never made? Drop your answer in the comments, like the video, subscribe for coverage that goes beyond the result. Because in 2026, the world won't just be watching the football, it'll be watching all of it.